Hey friend, it's Mesha with the Golden Nugget of the Day to help you along your way. We are 2 weeks into 2023, 3 weeks. This is our third week. And right now, our pastor, our bishop, has us in 21 days of fresh focus. And it's just what it is. We are to refresh our focus on what God desires for us in this year, basically. All right. So in doing that, he gives us 23, that's how many he gave us this year, daily confessions to speak over our lives. All right. And I want to talk about daily confession number 11. It reads, God will make my dreams come true. That is a great confession to speak over your life. And there is a verse that he tags along with each one of them. This verse is Psalms 37:4. I'll read it to you in the New King James Version. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Now, I spoke on that verse this past Sunday at my church, and I did an Old Testament Hebrew word search so that I could kind of break that verse down a little bit better, and I want to teach it to you. So the first word I looked up was desires. One of the Old Testament Hebrew words for desires is hepes, H-E-P-E-S. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right because I have not taken any classes on the Hebrew language, but just bear with me, all right? So hepes means to lean toward or to incline toward. And when we think about leaning toward, we think about bowing. Bowing means to obey, to give up your will, to submit your will to someone else, a higher being. And if you can remember, the Golden Nuggets earlier in this year had to deal with the two words that God gave me for this year, yield and surrender, right? And that means to give up your will to somebody higher, to a higher being. All right. So that's what God is telling us this year. Okay. Delight. The next word I looked up was desires. One of the Old Testament Hebrew words for desires is Mishalah, Mishalah. All right. And the base of that word means to draw out. The next word I looked up was heart. One of the Old Testament Hebrew words for heart was lev, L-E-V. And it basically meant heart, the inner being, the centermost being, the seat of emotions and passions. So let's read that verse again and put in the definition of the Old Testament Hebrew meaning. It means if we delight ourselves in the Lord, we are to surrender or bow ourselves to the Lord, submit our hearts, minds, souls, bodies to the Lord. And what will he do? He will reach into that innermost part, the centermost being of our bodies, of our souls, and he will draw out those things that we have not spoken to anybody else, those things that are just deep in our hearts that we have only dreamed about but didn't even know that we could obtain. He will actually cause his desires to be our desires. When we lean toward him, when we delight ourselves in him, his desires will become our desires. And when he sees that we desire to please him, then it will make him grant us our petitions. Isn't that great news? So delight yourself in the Lord today, and he will give you the desires of your heart. I'm telling you, that's the key to receiving what he has for us this year. I love y'all. Let's talk next week.